Hi, how you doing? Just occasionally, as a retired probation officer, you do very occasionally bump into somebody you used to supervise, and can be a bit tricky. You don't really want to say anything very often, or mention the fact that you used to supervise them, and I tend not to say anything or even make any remark or anything like that. But on a couple of occasions they've come up to me and said, "Oh, I remember you." I was in a supermarket one day, for example, and this guy came up to me. He said, "Oh, wow, good to see you. I remember you, and I just want you to know I've done really well. I thought you were a fantastic probation officer," the guy said, "and I just want you to know I've achieved all the targets that we set together, and I'm staying out of trouble and everything's going well, So that was quite nice. And there was another occasion where there was this woman, and I think it was a sort of slight meeting there, and after the meeting broke up, she kind of quickly ran outside to talk to me and said, "Oh, hello. I don't know if you remember me, but you supervised me on probation." And I went, "Oh, what's your name? Tell me." And then when the jigsaw puzzle dropped, I remembered her. And why I remembered her was I remember this one day where we'd done this exercise together. And it's where you make a drawing of your life. I think some people call it the river of life drawing. I tended to do it a bit like an underground map, where big occasions I made a dot and we'd write it up, and we do little drawings. So we did hers, and suddenly there was a pattern there for both of us. And I said, "Oh, I remember doing this chart exercise with you." And she said, "Yes, I remember doing this chart exercise, and I've never forgotten it, and neither had I." But the big thing was there was this pattern, and she had been in a whole series. She couldn't not be in a relationship with a man, and she wasn't necessarily liking these men or loving them or particularly liking them, but she felt she had to be in a relationship with this man. So on the chart you could see a whole series of failed relationships with men that she didn't particularly love, and it became apparent that she felt she couldn't live without being in a relationship. And what seemed to drive this was incredibly low self-esteem. And sometimes this self-esteem was incredibly self-destructive, and she became overwhelmingly sort of depressed or suicidal, hit the bottle, drink far too much, and on occasion became very worrying because on one occasion we had to get the landlords round. She failed her appointment, and her boyfriend, they weren't living together at the time, contacted me and expressed concerns and so on. It was so out of character not coming to probation that, very worried, I got asked the estate agent to go and check on her, and the landlords to go and check, and they found her in a terrible drunken state inside her flat. But the good news was, all these years later, she'd done really well, and although she now can manage without men in her life, she was now a single mum. She looked really well. She seemed happy and positive. She'd done some studies, and she'd become an addiction counsellor. And I thought, wow, what another success story, hadn't she done well? Out of near disaster, because, that day when she was found in a drunken stupor in her flat, she may well have passed away or something. So Yeah, out of bad can come good, and I think she is a very, very good counsellor and a very, very well respected counsellor. And that chart exercise was a big turning point for both of us, really, in our supervision. So positives can come out of supervision, and that's all I've got to say, really. So enjoy your day. Thank you for sticking with me and watching this video, and I wish you all the very best. Cheers now. Bye bye.